everybody. We're the Tri-State Sports Guys. I'm O. This is Mike. Tony D behind the glass. Mike T behind the ones and twos. And I guess we should probably get some sort of name.
Gotta get something.
JT, maybe?
JT
works.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
JT.
JT. Over there in some sort of Rangers hat. I think they
I
play
like
hockey.
it. I know they're in first
It's a
place,
teaser
right?
for my segment.
Oh, Lord.
Oh boy, we'll talk about them. All right,
We
go
have to
ahead.
get right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
Jets, Giants. Your thoughts?
You want me to go first?
Well, you picked. I'll say this: the 2 times you picked against the Jets,
I was right.
They have made
I was
you look
right.
like a genius.
and you know, like I've been a huge supporter of Rex Ryan. I'm still
Really?
wearing the shirt.
Did you know that, Tom?
I did not.
And I'm still not like saying
You're the guy who bought the book, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, we got Francesa. Oh, it's funny. It was funny when Francesa said that same joke 6 months ago.
I
But
didn't hear it there. Sorry.
oh, okay. So, but I mean, clearly, I don't have any problem with the way he talks. I don't have and I still don't have any problem with him talking his trash. But one of the biggest things, the 2 things to me that were the biggest parts of the game was clearly their play calling. 64 dropbacks is ridiculous. I don't care. You can't put all of that on the offensive coordinator as much as I don't like Shoddy. You have a game plan. You can't drop back 64 times and run the ball 25 times when you're supposed to be a ground and pound and you have a quarterback who clearly isn't ready to be throwing the ball 64 times, right?
I agree.
But on top of that, and I think I was texting you, I know I was texting some other Jet fans, but the penalties all game long just killed the Jets. 3 false start penalties. I mean, they were moving the ball to a point, but when you're only throwing the ball 4 or 5 yards a clip, you need to continuously convert on 3rd down. And when you're getting 3 false start penalties, you have 3 special team penalties. 2 came back-to-back plays on a holding by the same guy.
What you didn't text me about that. What you did text me about, which was a strong statement, was that Santonio Holmes is your least favorite Jet of all time.
All-time least favorite Jet.
All time.
I don't want to hear anything about him. First, let's just talk about
You got him
Santonio
locked up
Holmes.
for a couple more years.
5 years. I mean, with football, I don't know how much of it's guaranteed. It was 5 years for 50. I don't know how much of it was guaranteed. But he had another big drop in a game in a ball they should have caught, and they thought they were going to review it because they thought maybe it was a catch and a fumble. Either way, it was terrible. Would have been a first down. Move the chains. They had to punt. But then you look at him, and when I see like that play that Victor Cruz made, and I'd like to sit here and kill Cromartie for not making that tackle, but that was a pretty sick move. And then I'm looking at it, and everybody talks about how the Jets have this great receiving core. So you know what I did? Like I did last week, I did a little research. Why not?
Another game log situation?
Well, I did a little research on yards after the catch because you look at a wide receiver, the yak.
The yak.
So you look at a wide receiver like Santonio Holmes. Now, Plaxico Burress is not going to have a lot of yak. He just isn't. But Santonio Holmes, when you're 5'11", you gotta catch the ball and make moves after the play.
Like your boy Corbett used to do.
So I looked up the two number 1 and number 2 wide receivers for the Giants. Victor Cruz, he's 6th amongst wide receivers in yards after the catch. Hakeem Nicks is number 10. They're actually the best tandem in all of football. No other team has 2 receivers in the top 10 in yak. Santonio Holmes, he's tied with Mike Thompson. Mike Thomas, I'm sorry.
Mike Thompson.
Mike Thompson on the 1s and 2s. Mike Thomas from Jacksonville for 41st amongst wide receivers.
Holmes.
That's Holmes. And Plaxico's
probably lower.
60th. So you want to tell me about how the Jets have this great receiving core. What are they great about? You have a 5'10" wide receiver who doesn't break tackles and make plays after the catch. And you have a big guy who's very good in the red zone, but out of his 41 catches, I mean, all of them, he's got 8 or 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He doesn't make plays after the catch. So you tell me how they have a great receiving core.
Well, I actually heard somebody call into maybe it was Stephen A. I don't know who he was.
Yeah.
He made a very good point I didn't think about. Plaxico Burress on the surface has had a good year in terms of his numbers and his touchdowns. But it's interesting that I believe he was brought there to be a deep threat, and he's not been
Not
that.
at all.
He's just been a good red zone threat, which is why he's got a lot of touchdowns.
He's almost like a glorified tight end.
So I wonder why if you have to believe that is kind of affecting the yak of your boy Holmes, because you thought he was going to stretch the defense, and he's not, because maybe he's just not fast enough. Because he's playing well.
But don't you think one time, name one time he's caught a ball
somebody,
and made a guy miss. He's got 51 catches. One of these times, he could break away.
But I do notice a lot.
He gets the ball and falls down.
It seems to me like that he's near the sideline all the time. Like, he never seems to get the ball in a situation.
He gets a lot of those quick slants. He's on the receiving end, and he catches the ball. And
he does do that. He does the lean. He
does.
Yeah.
He catches the ball and leans down. And so there's only 2 ways you can get yak. Right? You're either going to catch and make a move, or you're going to get separation from a D-back, catch the ball and take it to the house. Victor Cruz does both of those. Victor Cruz had 2 great catches. Obviously, the 9-yard touchdown catch was amazing. But that one that he caught along the sideline on his fingertips and took a hit and hung on to it, those are 2 great catches. So nobody could tell me that the Jets have a better receiving core than the Giants. There's nobody could tell me that.
I think that the receivers are just not.
Good. Good is the word you're looking for. They're not good at catching the ball.
Plaxico, for as bad as brilliant, as inconsistent as he was, he at least
could do
he
that.
was a legitimate deep threat.
He's a legitimate deep threat, and he also would catch balls and make moves.
Exactly.
And for a big guy. And Santonio has
pick
not
up
done.
and just got
Yeah, I
cut.
was gonna say he's on a market.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they talk about they let him go to get Plaxico. They're two different guys. You couldn't replace Braylon Edwards
I
with
think
Plaxico.
people
So they're two
thought he
different
was
ones.
going to be the same
Right.
type.
Which
Wasn't he like that on the Giants?
he was, but now he's 34 and hasn't
Yeah.
played in a couple years.
Here's my other takeaway from this game. Number one, on a positive side, not that the Jets have many positives on that game. Revis, I thought, played incredibly. Like
Their defense
like you
played
see
very
that
well.
type of like, that's a superstar. Like
Yeah,
he's not
he
having a
looked
great
good.
year.
He was
He's not having a
unbelievable.
a great year, but he just made every play. He seems to
And it was amazing. They were throwing
Yeah,
at him with
exactly.
Ramses Barden and all
Yeah,
these guys.
He was just a little more focused. The defense played all right.
I thought the defense played very, very well. I mean, they were holding
Yeah,
to.
I
You know,
don't
they
think
gave
they
up
played
29
awful.
points, but 9 of them clearly
Right.
weren't their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 of them were, it was a safety, and then they scored the ball at the end of the game.
that excuse me, that it played out the way I thought it was going to play out in favor of the Jets early on. Was 10-7 or whatever.
I
it
told
was.
you they were in bad shape because they
And-
dominated that first
And
half.
I said to her, I said, this is exactly what the Jets want, and they just could never get anything going on offense.
It was unbelievable.
And you figured at some point they would find some seam.
Well, they
in
had
that
their
porous
chance with
Giant defense.
when 5 minutes left and they had the ball on the 50-yard line down 6 points.
Yes.
They're averaging 4.5 yards a carry. How about you maybe hand the ball off? You know?
Yeah, you hated that 3 and out, 3 passes.
It was unbelievable. At that point, I was like, this
that
is
was another
perfect.
text message
They
you
got
sent.
50. They got on the 50-yard line, right? They got
Yep.
50 yards to go to take the lead in this game.
Absolutely.
They got 5 minutes left, plenty of time. They can do whatever they want, and they throw the ball 3 straight times at 3 and out. It's amazing.
Now you see what the Giants did really well. What you talked about was their pass rush. Is that a credit to them that they just were like Tuck was more focused, or is that just because the Jets offense?
I think that
I saw your boy DeBrickashaw Ferguson get manhandled.
Right. We will talk.
Manhandled.
We will talk about the Pro Bowl a little bit later on, but I don't think Mangold or DeBrickashaw Ferguson are deserving of Pro Bowl.
He
bids
got
this year.
abused on
He
the
was.
one.
He has
and they
not been
replayed
good,
it.
and I'm not going to claim that I know all the tackles in the league.
Yeah.
But I know I've seen him in the past few
And
years
he's not
be
that good.
much better than he was this year. But what the other thing that the pass rush did, not only were they getting to Mark Sanchez, they sacked him 5 times. How many balls did they bat down? And that's not all on Mark Sanchez, because when you see a lot of these slow-mo replays, he looks like he's got a throwing lane, and you could tell that their plan of attack was, look, they're going to beat us with all these little short passes. So if you don't get to them, get your hands up. So that was,
Yep.
we killed Prayer Fuel, but at least they came to the game with that game plan, that if we're not going to get to them, which they did get to them a lot, get your hands up. They must have batted down 5 balls.
Now,
Right?
Yes, I agree. Let me ask you a question. Now, you gloss over this Rex Ryan talking a lot of trash, and we said this last year. I do believe. I don't think it affects his team, but I do think that it brings out the best in other teams. And I think you saw it here. I think that you could see after the game, they were all annoyed. I don't know what happened after the game with him and Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah, right.
Trying to punch him in the face. Don't you think that, regardless of what his intentions are, that he is firing up the other team to the detriment of the Jets?
To an extent, that's part of the downside to it, but I also think he's
It doesn't
firing
bother
his...
you?
No, because look,
You think it outweighs it because he's firing
if
up
he
the
would have
Jets?
now stopped doing what he's doing. Now this guy, the Jets had been to one AFC Championship game in the last 20 whatever years,
Yeah.
right? They go back-to-back AFC Championship games. If he would have stopped doing what he's been doing because they're having a down year, everybody, you included, would have been like, see, he's changing his things. He knows they don't have a good team. Blah, blah, blah. This is who he is. This is how he's got it there. So, he's not a perfect coach. There's plenty of things you could say that aren't good about him, and one of them is there's an upside and a downside to his trash talking. He is not a guy who's going out there saying Eli Manning stinks, though. He's saying, I think we're better than them. He was not calling out people. So for all the Giants fans to sit there and talk about how the Jets have no class, when they have
I don't think
Victor
it has anything to
Cruz
do with
and
class.
Hakeem Nicks talking trash about
I-
Revis before the game and all
yeah.
that, I think trash talking's fine. I mean, that's just sports. I don't know. I mean, I like it, but
So let's switch gears a little. I mean, obviously, big game for the Giants this weekend.
Yeah.
Winning, you're in at Giant Stadium.
yeah.
Who knows what Romo's going to do? I expect him to win simply, not really for any other reason than I just never see Tony Romo win a big game.
Yeah.
What
Well,
do you think? And we'll get into the Jets in a second, but
I mean, there is no reason why the Giants shouldn't win this game. They're at home.
exactly.
They had everything to
But
play
what do you
for.
think's going to happen?
I have a feeling that the Cowboys are going to win. I really do.
And you've
I've been right on a lot of
You've
these
been-
picks, and I'm
you've
telling
been
you,
pretty good.
I
What
just
makes
have
you
a
say that.
because I think that the Giants don't play big in big games.
Well, this was a big
Especially
game
at
last
home.
weekend, though.
I understand that, but I don't think that they went out and took that game. I think the Jets gave them that game.
Well,
I mean, you had their quarterback go out and throw 9 for 27.
their quarterback has not played well the past couple
with a
weeks.
terrible pick. I mean, a terrible pick.
Your quarterback has not played well the past
He hasn't
couple
played
weeks.
well in a big spot. He hasn't played well against a good defense all year. Now, the Cowboys aren't a good defense, but they
Who
have.
knows what you get out of Romo or Felix Jones?
That's the thing. I mean, they have everything is pointing towards the Giants. Which surprised me, the spread's only 3 points. When you have Tony Romo with a bruised hand and you're down to their third string running back. I mean, DeMarco Murray's out. You have all, you know what I'm saying? Like something.
Is it only 3?
It's only 3 points. How could it only be? If you would ask me what that spread was opening, I would have said 5.5, 6 points. With Romo being banged up, I don't know. So they see something, and everybody I know is taking the Giants. You know what I'm saying? The gambling people I know are taking the Giants.
Saying.
What do you think? What do you guys think? Who do you think is winning that game? Do you think 3 points a fair enough spread, or
I think it's a fair spread.
so you think on a neutral field they're even teams the way they're constituted right now?
I do. Even with Tony Romo being banged up, I think if he's healthy enough to play,
Yeah.
and there's still a 3-point, then it's a difference of 3 points. I think the biggest difference is DeMarco Murray. I think with DeMarco Murray, they're probably 3-point favorites.
Oh, I agree
Without
with you, yeah.
him, it's closer to a coin flip. And getting back to your point where the Giants don't play big in big games, they played bigger and bigger games this year than the Cowboys have. I mean, if you take a look at the game that they just had, the Giants showed up at the end. The Cowboys did not.
Cowboys had outplayed them that game, though.
Yeah, I mean they really did.
It was a good Giant win, but the Cowboys did outplay them.
Right. They had a blocked field goal. I mean, the Cowboys find way to lose these games. I mean, they outplayed the Jets.
And that's why
they found a way to lose against the Jets.
And that's why I'm picking the Giants, because they find ways to lose games in ways you would never imagine.
But to me, it's like they can't just continuously.
Yeah, you're right. You're like, at some point, they got to win one of these games.
Exactly. And I think that Tony Romo gets such a bad rap. And I think,
You're rooting for him.
I am.
Well, I mean, you're clearly rooting for him.
Well, no, I actually am not, because I don't like the
but
Cowboys
you hate
at all.
Eli, though.
I hate Eli, but I don't hate the Giants. I mean,
You would like to see Eli throw up his.
I would like to see Eli
lay an egg right here.
be bad. Of course, I would.
Exactly.
There's so many reasons why. Now,
Facebook will shut down if that happens.
The fact that this guy made the Pro Bowl over Matthew Stafford, Matt Ryan, and even Tony Romo. All three of those guys, but all three of those guys I just named had more touchdowns, less interceptions, and a higher completion percentage. So you tell me why, in what world Eli Manning had a better year. I already talked to you last week about, in all their losses, how bad he is.
Made it very clear.
He's very bad. It's not like they're 7-7 and he's out there slinging the ball around in all their losses. He plays very bad in their losses. Right?
Yeah.
So explain to me how he becomes a Pro Bowl quarterback. Because Fat Francesa's telling us he's having an MVP caliber season. In what world is he having an MVP caliber season?
Does this have anything to do with your fantasy football loss?
No.
And the fact that he was your quarterback for
Romo
Who,
killed him.
Tony Romo? No, but I was going to lose that game anyway. His team, he had Stafford and he had, Calvin Johnson. They put up big numbers. If he had even if he hadn't gotten hurt, and it was kind of a trickle-down effect, I had that kicker.
Romo killed me in a couple of years. I can't.
But he got me to where I was.
I had him a
Like, I
couple
averaged
times, too.
25 points a game in fantasy.
That's your positive guy.
And you're the most negative person
That's
I
the thing.
know.
You're a positive guy. He cost me a title a couple
He's
years
killed me
ago.
a couple times, too.
Who
I'm
do you
just
like
saying,
this
this
week?
I like the Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah, I like the Giants.
All right, very quickly.
Cover to 3?
Yeah, I say yeah. I'm going to say
I think if it's a close game, I agree the Giants are going to be... I honestly think this is going to be a 10-point Cowboy win.
I don't trust Romo.
Now, very quickly, everyone is making it out like this Jets scenario to not make the playoffs is impossible. I think it's very easy. I don't know who Tennessee's playing. Now, I have to admit that. But I know Tennessee has to lose.
They're playing the Texans.
Okay, so I don't know about that game. But I know Baltimore can beat Cincinnati.
I think they will beat
And
Cincinnati.
I know either Oakland or Denver. And in my mind, they're both going to lose.
Tennessee's the game I'm most worried
That's what I'm
about.
saying. So I don't know why
Tennessee's
people are
the
like,
game I'm worried about. And then you're sitting there, is Tennessee a playoff team? When you look at the teams that are in this mix, who do you think is the
I
best
can't
of
believe
the
they have
teams?
as many wins as
I
they
don't
do.
think I think, to me, the Bengals of those teams are the best because their defense is so good.
But I don't know if they're
And they
gonna
got
beat
two
the
good...
Ravens.
What's that?
I don't know if
I don't
they're
think they
gonna
are
beat the
either. They're probably going to be out. You know what I'm saying? Both those teams in the West, neither of them are very good.
I know.
And you can't tell me that...
I don't think
you
the
can't tell me the
people
Titans are
made it
good.
out.
They keep benching Hasselbeck in the middle of the game.
People made it out like the Jets were dead after this loss.
Oh,
And I
not
look
at all.
I look at the scenario. This is not a.
This is-
it's not a great scenario, but it's not a bad.
I
Scenario.
have another feeling. I think the Jets, and I've been negative when I think the Jets aren't going to win. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to hold the Dolphins to 10 points or less. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to get in the playoffs. I think all that's going to happen.
You heard it here. Well, when we come back, we're gonna do something different.
A little something new. New
JT's
segment.
got something going on.
I like it.
We'll see what happens. We'll be back with a Tri-State Sports Guys.